Hello! Good evening, everyone. This is Alex from All About Lapland. Hope you're doing fine. This is live podcast episode 7 on our Facebook page, and of course, a recorded version on all of the podcasting applications and on YouTube as well. I apologize for not making the podcast yesterday. I've kind of already agreed with you guys. I'm going to do podcasts on Saturdays, but I was pretty busy. There's a lot of things to do here in Lapland before winter begins. Yes, that's right. There are many things one has to finish here, especially around the house. So I was busy doing that. The second reason, of course, we had a wonderful place that opened up in Rovaniemi city center, which is Gustav Kitchen and Bar. I went live from that place a couple of times already, so yesterday evening we decided to go and check it out instead of sticking out with you guys here on Facebook and other social channels. So I have to have a day off sometimes, once in a while, right? Okay. I hope you agree with me. So the topics of today's podcast is the ski resorts in Lapland. We've already went around Lapland in our very first episode, which told you about different locations and destinations in Lapland. And now we're going to go more into detail about the skiing thing and the ski resorts in particular and what do they offer. And we have folks joining up our stream here on Facebook. We have Filippo. Boa noite. Good evening, my friend. We have Simone from Munich. We have Carol from the US, Maria from Gdansk, and Jenny. So more and more people joining up. It is August 23rd today, Sunday, actually. And that actually reminded me that only 2 months ago, guys, we had the Midnight Sun celebration here in Lapland, and in 2 months, everything changed. And I mean that it's already autumn here. Autumn is beginning in Lapland. You've already can feel it for a couple of weeks. There are more and more yellow leaves on the trees around here, so it's definitely coming pretty fast. And the nights are getting a little bit longer, and actually this was the first week that we could see the very beginning of the Northern Lights season. I knew it was coming. I think it was 3 or 4 nights ago, and I was out taking pictures, and I wasn't disappointed. I saw very small Northern Lights for about, 3-4 minutes, not more than that, but I did it, and I've shared, of course, the good news with you. And as the nights get more dark in the next few weeks, and as the aurora activity goes higher, we'll be able to see more Northern Lights. But for now, we only had this really short beginning of the season. And we have Beatrice from New Hampshire, and David and Tim Jones joining the stream. So, ski resorts are important places to visit in Lapland. In our previous episode, we've already looked into autumn activities and what you can do in autumn here. But of course, we have to bring up the elephant in the room, and that is, of course, the travel restrictions that we still have in end August 2020. I'm really curious if there is someone listening to this podcast from the future. What is the situation out there? Is everything already good and your guys are able to travel freely? Please please comment somewhere. You say I'm from the future and everything's changed. Everything is much better. That's the kind of news that we are waiting for. So at the moment, travel restrictions in Finland are pretty harsh again. We are enabling travel only with the Baltic states, and I think it was Italy, and no more than that. But as I'm always been saying, we have to be really optimistic about that. It's all going to be fine. And I think there are good signs from all over the world that this thing is already on its way out. So we have to let some more time for everyone to process that. So this is one of the reasons that in this particular talk I wanted to discuss the ski resorts because we don't know how many weeks or months the travel restriction will last. Hopefully less than more. But now it's safe to say that it's more likely that you guys going to plan for the winter vacation here in Lapland. Well, maybe even if you're not going to come this year, maybe this information will help you during your next trip next year or something like that. So let's see what kind of ski resorts we have here on offer. I'm not going to talk about all of the ski resorts, but let's call it like that. It's my top 5 or 6-ish of the ski resorts in Lapland, and it's basically my own experience where I go myself. What do I do? So this is not a sponsored episode. This is just my experience as being a local and enjoying the ski resorts that we have. So we have here Rokaski Resort that we're going to visit virtually on this podcast. We have Salla Ski Resort with a very brief visit. Then we have Rokoski Resort here in Rovaniemi, where I live at my hometown. And of course, we're going to visit Puja Ski Resort, which is not very visited, not very known, but very nice. And we're going to head to Levy, which is one of my all-time favorites. I've spent many great skiing vacations there. We're going to visit Ylläs, another amazing place, which I call my second home, and you'll find out why later in the podcast. And we're going to finish it up in Sariselka. So we are skipping a few ski resorts, and that's basically not because they are bad or I don't know, it's because I haven't been there enough and I haven't collected enough experience or photos to show it to you guys. So these ski resorts are Suomu and Olos, Pallas, and I think there is also Losto that I'm missing from this report. Well, we have to set some lines here, otherwise it's going to be way too long. So we're going to concentrate on the ones that I really love the most. And for our viewers on the video podcast, we're going to see the map here, and we're going to have a brief overview of where we're going. So we're going to start from the south, and Rukaski Resort, it's more south ski resort, and it's not in Lapland. Somehow the people that were drawing the line between Lapland and the next region, Northern Ostrobothnia down below, they made really funny moves. So basically, Ruka Ski Resort, it's in another region, not in Lapland technically speaking, but in every other sense is in Lapland, as in the sense of tourism, climate, nature, and all like that. I know I get, sometimes we get really comments from the locals who are saying, why are you telling about Ruka? It's not Lapland, and your name is all about Lapland. Well, I guess, the New York Times tells not only about New York and, and Helsingin Sanomat, our newspaper in Finland, tells also about Lapland. So, the hell with it. Get over it, I say. So, but that's a little technical remark. So when you're going to Ruka, technically you're not going to Lapland, although you might not have noticed anything, and that's a good thing. So Rokaski Resort is situated near the city of Kuusamo, and one of the strongest thing about this region is that they have their own airport there, which is quite handy. There's only half an hour drive from Kuusamo airport to Ruka. If you drive straight north from Ruka, you will end up in Salla region, and you will end up at the Salla Ski Resort as well. A very small resort, but very well hidden. Salla markets itself as in the middle of nowhere, and basically they've embraced the thing that there is nothing else there. And that's a kind of the main point of being there, that you're not disturbed by any kind of too much urbanization or stuff like that. We'll visit Rovaniemi, my hometown, and our very small ski resort. Many people go to Rovaniemi in Lapland and they skip other places. So if they want to get to know a little bit of the alpine skiing and the winter sports, they can do that at Ounasvaara Ski Resort. Going north from Rovaniemi to Puja, which is about 1.5 drive away, and Rovaniemi also presents the closest airport to Puja. Puja is situated in a really nice and remote area, much like Salla as well. So they are pretty similar in that extent. One of my all-time favorites, Puja Ski Resort, and of course the Puja Luosto National Park. From there, we teleport into the northern Lapland, the northern parts of Lapland, and we're going to Kittilä region. So Kittilä has the nearest airport if you want to go to Ylläs or Levy. Of course, it's a little bit closer to Levy than Ylläs, so it's about 15-20 minute drive from Kittilä airport to Levy Ski Resort, which is one of the top and best ski resorts in whole Lapland. But you can also reach beautiful Ylläs area and Ylläs Ski Resort in the Lompalo village over here. And last but not least, Sariselkasky Resort, which is the most northern ski resort in Lapland and also in the European Union. I think they have ski resorts in Norway which are more north, but as Norway is not a part of the EU, so that this is considered the most northern ski resorts in European Union. And the closest airport from Sariselka is in Ivalo, which is just a little bit over or under 30 minutes depending of the mode of transportation that you are taking. And we're having some new guests on the podcast on our Facebook. We have Stuart, who has already messaged me this morning saying, where is the podcast? Did I miss it? Well, I didn't miss it. I was busy doing stuff around the house and going out with Julia last night to Gustav Kitchen and Bars, so I didn't have time to prepare. But of course, it's nice to do it anyway, even if one day late. And we have Lisa joining our podcast as well. So this is the overview of the places that we're going to visit on the podcast today. And if you have any questions about these places or about anything else that you'd like to ask me, of course, please do that, and we'll discuss that. And I really enjoy doing it live with you guys, so I don't do too much scripting. I have a basic idea what I'm going to discuss with you, but otherwise it's very fluid. I don't want to make it too perfect, because otherwise it won't be as good as spontaneous as we're doing with you guys live on our Facebook page here. And of course, if you're listening it as a recording on the podcasting apps, please subscribe to All About Lapland channel on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple, and whatever other podcast applications you're listening through. We are on the biggest platforms. And of course, you can listen to all the other episodes on our site, allaboutLapland.fi, and from there you'll find links to the audio recordings. I find podcasts really helpful for myself when I'm doing some work or when I'm driving. I enjoy listening to my favorite topics. And of course, you can watch it on YouTube if you prefer that as well. And we have Sirpa from Florida Beach. Wow, I suppose it's very nice and sunny at this moment in Florida. Here we are experiencing a very sharp decline in temperatures. Just 2 days ago we had plus 24 degrees centigrade, and with every day now we're going to sink into about 15 degrees centigrade with some rain and colder air from the north. So autumn is definitely coming. It's like a perfect balance now between autumn and summer, but with every day you just feel it. It's a bit colder, and autumn has this kind of special smell with when the leaves are dropping, so kind of earthy smell, and it's already here. And we also have Panayotis from Italy, and Maria saying thank you, Alex. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. So let's dive in. And the first ski resort we have is Rokaski Resort. Oh yeah, and one important mention before we go into the ski resorts. if we talk about the activities which surround ski resorts, about activity companies, you can basically find the kind of same choice everywhere. You have snowmobile safaris, you have husky safaris, you have reindeer safaris as well at any resort that you pick, at least from our list that we are discussing here. And you have also a choice of other winter activities, which are more the kind of, there's different companies who organize that, but the way that they go are more or less the same. I know there are differences, but just to make clear, we're not discussing like snowmobiling at this podcast in more detail. We are discussing the ski resorts where you can actually go alpine skiing or cross-country skiing, and what kind of services surround these ski resorts, and most importantly, who these ski resorts are for, in my opinion. So Sirpa is saying, actually it's raining here today because of the 2 hurricanes. Oh, that's right. I totally forgot that you sometimes you have hurricanes down there in Florida. Well, luckily we don't have any hurricanes, but it can get pretty chilly out here. So talking about Rokaski Resorts, it's a very modern resort, very forward thinking, certainly one of the best and biggest in the whole region. In Ruka we have 35 slopes or pistes. I don't really enjoy the word pistes. I cannot pronounce that, so I would rather use the word slopes. We have 35 slopes and 22 lifts at Rokoski Resort, making it one of the biggest. A great reason why we are discussing Rokaski Resort is that it's usually the first to open its season in Lapland. And Ruka opens its season already for the third time in October, early October. And that is done thanks to the snow that they keep over the summer, and it's actually easier and cheaper to make snow a year before, or actually half a year before, in winter, when it's still there's lots of snow and then it's lots of cold, and it's less expensive to produce snow. Many ski resorts produce snow nowadays. So what they do is that they collect the snow under a protective material, and they disperse it in autumn when the first frost come. Then it doesn't really melt that much anymore. So Ruka has been opening its season during the first week of October for a couple of years now, and even this year they're going to open 2nd October, guys. So 2nd October, that is in about 5 weeks time. A little bit more, I guess 5.5 weeks, something like that. Well, less than 6 weeks from now, when we are recording the podcast in end August, you can already go alpine skiing in Finland, and that's quite amazing achievement in my opinion. So you have a kind of interesting balance between autumn, which surrounds you, but then there is winter activity, and that's kind of really interesting to experience. And I think it's a very good thing that they open the season very early, because autumn, especially late autumn, after the best beautiful autumn foliage season is over, it's kind of gloomy here until the first snow starts, like really gloomy. There is not much light anymore, there's no more leaves on the trees, so everything is kind of, dark or brown or gray. So that's a really cool thing, that they offer this kind of opportunity to enjoy the early snow activities, to make the winter come a little early. And we have a question. Tim is asking, silly question, but how will the COVID affect these ski resorts if still not allowed to travel? Yeah, that's another elephant in the room. Of course, the restrictions are affecting tourism in a very negative way, not only in Lapland, but around the world. So I think that in this case, you have to think if there is if the benefit of making the restrictions actually better or worse for the whole, life experience and business and economy and lives in general than not doing that at all. So situation for the winter, it's still very uncertain, and I guess what has been lacking from our governments is like if it's good if they would have a certain kind of line that we can all rely on. They will say like it will be closed until then, but then it will reopen and it will stay reopen for 6 months. So in that way we could all make some plans, but unfortunately we cannot do that because we cannot rely on things staying stable. But as I was always saying, I'm really optimistic we are all going to get through this because we'll just do it. We'll stay positive and we'll get through this. In most likelihood, it will not be a good year for tourism in anywhere, basically not even for the ski resorts. However, the benefit for the ski resorts in Lapland is that they can rely on some amount of local domestic tourists, and especially in the early winter you don't get too much tourists that go enjoying the ski resorts anyway. Usually they arrive earliest in December and lasting through March, so there is still time to make the right decisions and to see where the situation is going. So the start of the season is usually more for us local to enjoy, so I'm really hopeful it will get better. Well, I just feel it that it will get better, and people from the future who are listening and watching the podcast, they will comment right now a few months from now telling us you were totally right. And my wife Julia is also in the chat, my second part of the brain, saying that some ski resorts got support money from the government. It might help a bit. Yes, we had a program where some companies could apply and receive some money for their expenses from the government. Unfortunately, it only applied for bigger companies, not like our company. We cannot apply for that kind of money. We received another grant, which was a development grant, which is much smaller in size and in program than the ski resorts did. But of course, they have a different cost structure as well. So they are having lots of cost regardless if they have tourists or not. So they received some money, some hefty money, some like $500,000 in euros. So I guess it will make their situation better. But of course, in the long term, they have to have travelers from around the world enjoying their services, and not only from Finland. So I guess that was the long answer to Tim's question, and we'll go into discussing our beautiful Rokaski Resort. So starting from October the 2nd, domestic tourists and luckily some lucky persons that can still travel will be able to enjoy the early snow in Rukaski Resort. And we went there with my wife Julia. At least once or twice we enjoyed this early snow thing. Of course, it's not the same as you would be skiing amidst the snowy trees, which is like when it's at its best in December or January. But it's a good start, and especially it's a good start for professional skiers who can, develop their skills and prepare for the competitions and keep their, condition up with that. So that's kind of the first snow skiing in Ruka. Of course, when you get into the proper winter months, Rokaski Resort becomes like a real fairy tale with all the snowy trees. Then it kind of feels amazing just, to slide down the slopes and experience all this beauty around you. And in addition to skiing, Ruka has some really cool and interesting events happening on and around the slopes. And one of the most famous of those events, there is usually an event every month or something like that. The most famous event that they do, it's called the Polar Night Light Festival, which is organized in the second 2 weeks of January. This is usually when it gets much more, quiet on the resort, and it's still dark from the winter. So what they do is they illuminate the main slopes with various lights, and it looks totally amazing. And the slopes are open for a little bit longer, so you can enjoy your skiing not only in the daytime but also in the nighttime during this darker evening time, but illuminated with the beautiful lights. And I've enjoyed it a couple of times, and it's totally great idea. I love that a lot. And kudos to Ruka for being so forward thinking and inventive in this kind of things. In addition to slopes being illuminated, there are also different kinds of light installations all around the place. So it's not a single event which takes place at certain time. It's 2 weeks or a little bit over 2 weeks when you can enjoy skiing in magical forest lit by the beautiful lights. That's how I would describe that. So let's discuss who is Ruka for in that sense. So Ruka is a very modern resort in all kind of thinking. There's lots of new buildings, new ideas. So it is a resort especially for the youngsters who like to party, to go hang out and stuff like that. There's lots of happenings like that, like bars and discos and stuff like that. And there is also Ruka Park for making all kind of tricks, and there is Super Pipe. Of course, I'm getting into this age when I'm not compromising my health anymore, so I'm not doing tricks. I'm just enjoying being outside on the skis, let's put it like that. Although on occasion I like to go off piste a little bit, but I'm in no way a kind of a professional skier or anything like that, so keep that in mind. And the second segment or category that Ruka is good for is families. They have done lots of things for families to make it an amazing resort. There is a park for kids where the youngsters can enjoy and learn their first steps on the alpine skis, and everything is also very neatly constructed, very close, and lots of services. So if you're a family with young kids or even older kids, you'll both enjoy that because there is a good infrastructure for this kind of thing. And thirdly, I think Ruka is just an amazing place to be, regardless if you don't fit into the previous two categories, just for the views and the wonderful nature that is around Ruka. And the main area where everything happens in Ruka, it's called the Ruka Village. It's the central village where all of the hotels, central slopes, and the newly built gondola lift is situated. It's a wonderful area to stay. I've stayed there many times in different hotels. They have apartment hotels which are right in the city center, and on our video podcast we're enjoying the view now just from the room that we had earlier this January during the Polar Night Festival. So this is one of my favorite places to be. You also have lots of cottages in Ruka area, but it takes a little longer to get from the cottage to the slopes. You probably have to have your own car to do that more comfortably. There is also a ski bus that circles around, but if you really want to experience most of that skiing Ruka has to offer, I warmly recommend one of the apartment hotels in Ruka Village. There's everything that you need. There is a small kitchen to prepare your foods. There is a drying cabinet for your clothes, and there is all the restaurants. So it's pretty easy to be there. Cottages are nice, but I think they're more designed for kind of bigger company. If you're a family, you'll be very comfortable in the center of the village. And of course, Ruka has one of the best burger places that I've enjoyed every time I go there, called Ruok Burger. Just go there and visit. And of course, visit the other restaurants in the area. You will surely enjoy that. So, lately, there's been a lot of development happening in Rokaski Resort. So not only now you have the main slope area and the main village called Ruka Village, but the other side of the slopes called Ruka Valley has now got its own hotel, which is called Ruka Valley as well. And I was planning to visit that hotel earlier this January. Actually, I've booked myself into this hotel. I've reserved a room there for a couple of days. I think I'm some kind of frequent customer of theirs, so occasionally they send me some nice offers, and I've grabbed an offer. I think it was about 80 euros per night, like very, very cheap for apartment hotel for a small group of people. But what happened is that they called me and they said that actually the hotel is not ready yet, although they were planning to open that. So they've transferred me back to the Ruka Village. So I didn't get to enjoy this wonderful and new hotel that they built yet. But hopefully, next winter season, I will, not only me, but you'll also get to enjoy that. But for now, I don't know yet. I haven't been there. So the other slope area is now under development with restaurants and hotels as well. So that is Rokaski Resort in short. A great place, very modern, very nice to be there. Everything is so close together. You can enjoy different kind of activities that depart from the village center. You can also visit National Park, which is called Oulanka, situated pretty near the ski resort. And also you can visit a place called Lammintupa Winter Village for some activities and whatnot. So definitely one of my favorite places lately. Next, we're going to drop to Salla very briefly. And very briefly only because I haven't been spending much time there lately. Still, Salla, it's very deep in my heart because I worked at Salla as a tourist guide in like 20 years ago almost already, 2001 to 2003. So I've kind of got to know Salla pretty well by doing lots of the trips with the tourists that I was helping with. Salla Ski Resorts has 15 slopes and 7 lifts. Of course, you have to take all of these slope numbers that ski resorts tell you about with a grain of salt. Sometimes we have two slopes which are, very near each other, and they count them as, two different slopes. So it feels like a little bit less than what they say there is. But Salla is a nice resort with all of the mountain having slopes, so you can ski back and forth. It is a very compact resort. You have a small amount of cottages over there. You have a little center of the village with the Hotel Revantuli, which is the kind of the center of everything. And lately they have built a spa there, and everything is quite close in Salla. There is a place where you buy tickets and you get the equipment and then you go up. So Salla, it's technically in the middle of nowhere, so when you are visiting that place there is not much other stuff around. So if you want to enjoy unity with nature and maybe a little bit just off time outside of your urban places where you guys mostly live, so Salla is a good place for that. One place that I remember very well that we visited in Salla, it is called Ruuhitunturi. It's a small fell, medium-sized fell, which is situated about 9-10 kilometers away from Salla ski resort, that you can visit by snowmobiles or even by cross-country skiing, which actually I did one time on one occasion, and you can have a really good view over the area. So that is basically Salla. As I was saying, we are stopping here very briefly. I don't have a very recent experience from Salla, but I have a very good memories of it being a warm-hearted place and nice place to relax as well. Next, we're going back home here in Rovaniemi, my hometown. And in Rovaniemi, we have a small ski resort, which is called Ounasvaara. It is the smallest of all of the ski resorts that we have here in Lapland. But we have to mention that because many people just choose to go only to Rovaniemi instead of going up north. And it's more like a beginner-style resort because the slopes are not very high. Still, there are 13 of them and 5 lifts. They're situated only on one side of the Ounasvaara fell, so they're not going on the other side like in Ruka and in Salla that we've just visited. Overall, personally, I don't go that much for alpine skiing at my home resort, but it's popular among youngsters here, so lots of youngsters go there. Maybe I don't go there much often for alpine skiing because if I go alpine skiing, I prefer, mountains that are a little bit higher here in Lapland and a little bit away from my, hometown, that it would feel a little bit more like a vacation and not like, just a short thing that I do. But for you guys, if you don't have any experience in alpine skiing or cross-country skiing, it could be perfect for you because you can book yourself some lessons from the ski school and get your the beginning of your alpine skiing experience over here. Still, I love the place itself, the Ounasvaara hill that we have here a lot. Not only do I go there on foot, but also on a mountain bike, and there is lots of trails that you can explore without skis as well. And on our video podcast, we are looking at the entrance on a winter walking trail, which is about 1 hour to go around. You can reach the top of Ounasvaara hill by walking from Ounasvaara Sky Hotel, which is one of my favorite walks here in the city. No matter the season, you can enjoy beautiful views from there. And on your way, you'll find snowy trees in the middle of the winter. So for me, as a local, Ounasvaara and surrounding forests are more for cross-country skiing and other winter activities. I'm a big fan of cross-country, and we have our ski piste situated not very far from our area, so I can just walk there and start my skiing adventure. And also I can go to Ounasvaara and enjoy their cross-country skiing tracks that they have there as well. And usually my cross-country season lasts deep into end of April. As long as you have snow, I'm enjoying my cross-country here in Rovaniemi and in Ounasvaara. And Sean has joined our video stream and is asking, is the resort any good for children? I think Sean, in particular, Ounasvaara, it's great for children because it's not very high and it's not very steep, so it's perfect for learning the basics of alpine skiing, because some of the ski resorts in the north might be a little bit too steep for youngsters, but I think every ski resort has their areas where youngsters can practice, and especially Ruka is good for that. We've already mentioned that. Levy has some areas as well, and I think Ullas too. And also we have ski schools at any ski resort to get you started. So that is Ounasvaara. Next, we're going to go to Puja Ski Resort, and actually let's take a look on our map where we're going now, if you just join us. We already did a little overview on our video podcasts on where all of the areas are situated on the map. So going from Rovaniemi, which is closest airport, there is a 1.5 hour drive out here to Puja Ski Resort, which is situated in a very beautiful area. It's not very remote, but it feels like you are very far away from everything when you go to Puja. And in Puja you have slopes only on one side of the hill, and the other part of the hill, the western part, it's a national park, so that's why you don't get slopes on the other side, which is a good thing. Also, there is a very deep ravine on the other side, so it wouldn't be that safe to do slopes there anyway. And of course, it's a much better decision to leave it in its most natural state as it can be, with our presence there, so people can just enjoy this raw nature. And you can visit the canyon mainly in summer and in autumn, and I think when there's lots of snow it's closed because of the avalanche danger. But going into Puja Ski Resort, it's the best way to describe it is it's a well-hidden gem. And maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing to keep it that way. You have your very popular resorts like Ruka or Levy, where lots of people go. But if you want to experience something else, there is always Puja to enjoy. And we have Julia joining the chat. She's saying, good evening. We'll have to rewatch tomorrow as up for work at 4 a.m. Wow, that's pretty early. It's already midnight here in Lapland. And as I was saying, I apologize for taking it too long in this week to start the podcast, but I was kind of busy, so better late than never. And of course, you can enjoy the recording afterwards here on Facebook or on YouTube tomorrow, and of course as a voice on the podcasting apps. But going into Puja, it is a very nice, well-balanced resort that has beautiful slopes. Some of them are quite steep, that cater more to the professional skiers, but you also have family slopes which are less steep as well. And from once in a while it's good to enjoy both. Actually, in Puja's main slope there is one spot for myself which is kind of difficult for me, which is quite steep, and I go very slow there. So yeah. But if you're a professional or you have more experience than me, I guess it's a good thing that you have some challenge there. Puja Ski Resort has only 14 slopes and only 9 lifts, but I guess it's a quite honest representation on what kind of slopes you have there. So if you say that Ounasvaara Ski Resorts and Puja Ski Resorts have about the same amount of slopes, but at the same time you must realize that Puja is like 2 times bigger, and the slopes are 2-3 times longer than in Rovaniemi. So the slope number doesn't always tell you this whole thing. So even though there is only 14 slopes, it's a quite substantial, good size ski resort with the longest slope at about 1,800 meters. Puja has a very compact center village, which is situated right about in the middle of the height of this fell, and which is actually quite a good location. So you can feel that you're already on the mountain, but you can also, start your skiing trip right from the hotel, which often I do. There are great apartment hotels in Puja as well, and you can literally put your skis right outside the door of the apartment, and start your way and fall into the slopes. Of course, we have to have a ticket for the lifts bought, preferably, so you can go up again. But presuming that you have done that, you can start your day already from your apartment, which is quite a cool thing. And I think I mainly enjoy staying at Puja Ski Resort right in the center, although they do offer, all kinds of cottages in the greater Puja area in the forests as well. And if you really want to concentrate on alpine skiing and cross-country skiing and winter activities, I think it's a kind of a better idea to be closer to the ski resort. But if you want to enjoy nature and other activities, you don't have to stay there necessarily. You can be a little bit outside the center if you choose to do so. But Puja, it's just a magical place because of the whole nature and this kind of it has a unique vibe to that. When you are in Ruka, you feel like everything is modern, everything is brand new. You feel this kind of modern kind of vibe everywhere. Everything is energetic, which can be a good thing, of course. But when you go to Puja, everything is so mellow and relaxed. So relaxed is kind of really good way to describe Puja Ski Resort. Actually, I think Puja and Ruka belong to the same owner, which is the Aho family, if I'm not mistaken. So they have in their palette, they have two very different ski resorts to offer all of us here. And unlike in Ruka, which is the first to open this season, they are not really in a rush to open their season in Puja, so they wait for more natural snow to come. Of course, they do use the cannons as well as basically almost any resort now here in Lapland, but it's more kind of wild in every extent when you go there. Puja has very beautiful views around the area and the many fells that surround that area. You have a beautiful observation point just on top of Puja Ski Resort to enjoy these views. From the top of the fell, you can get to almost any other slope that they have there, so it's quite handy to navigate. So you go up and then you choose where you go down, and you can change. In other resorts, you get a little bit more lost, like in Levy or in Ruka. You have much more, different areas, different slopes, different lifts that you can use, but in Puja everything is a little bit more simplified. And on a particular note, there is a very good cafe on top of Puja Ski Resort where there they offer amazing waffles. I've enjoyed them on many occasions, and the good thing about that is that you don't necessarily need to be skiing to go and visit that cafe. You can also go there by lift without the skis. So the main lift in Puja, it also serves pedestrians, so you can go up, enjoy the views, and enjoy some waffles, and go down as well. Puja. I mean, if you have been to any other ski resort in Lapland or any kind of place, go visit Puja. You'll certainly enjoy that. And the first time that I visited Puja was in 2012 winter, and we were celebrating with my wife our anniversary of our wedding, and we went there for the first time to ski, and we totally enjoyed that. And you kind of can get away from everything when you visit Puja. And the Puja Losto National Park, it's a real, it's a big deal. It's a very cool place to visit. Also, in wintertime, there are some trails that are accessible and navigatable with special kind of skis, forest skis, so different from alpine or cross country. You can go there, and there are some trails to enjoy. So that is Puja Ski Resort. One resort that we are not going into on this podcast is the Losto Resort, which also has a ski center and amethyst mine, but we've already discussed that on our first podcast when we visited different places in Lapland, so go listen or watch that one. Also, I've never skied at the Losto Ski Resort. On our image that we're looking on the podcast, it's the fell in the upper area of the image. This is where you have the ski resort, and the closer area on the image is the amethyst mine, and that is the place that I have visited on many occasions and can warmly recommend to visit in any season. Actually, it's almost always open except November and April, when the season really change. So this is when it's not open. But all in all, who would I recommend Puja to? Well, as we had Sean asking for family resorts, Puja can certainly be one. I mean, not all of the slopes are suitable for beginners, but there is half of the slopes I think are mellow enough that you can enjoy it with your family. I think it's a good resort for a romantic trip at any age, that is, to celebrate something with your loved one. It's also good for, people that are looking forward to experience something on their own. So there are many things that you can do in Puja with the guided tours or without some, as long as you know what you're doing. Last winter, I went on several occasions into the Puja Losto National Park on skis or on foot, so you can take pictures, enjoy a little lunch on a fireplace that is in the Puja Losto National Park. So another cool place in Puja, it's the newly opened Sunday morning resort, and it's the new kind of ecological resort that they have now in Puja. It is situated about 5 kilometers from the ski resort itself, on the shore of Lake Pyhäjärvi, and it's a wonderful place to visit. They have their resort set up in a way that they use less resources than they need to, and they have electric snowmobile safaris there on offer, which don't produce exhaust, and it's a cool little place to visit. So Sunday morning resort in Puja, you can visit that, but also you can stay close to the slopes in one of those apart hotels, which I've been to many times, and just have everything close to you, the restaurants and the services and so on. Alright, next we are teleporting into Levy Ski Resort, which I think it's the most famous ski resort in whole Lapland, and rightfully so. I mean, Levy is just amazing to experience winter, and especially the alpine skiing. Of course, in any resort that I've mentioned, you can also do cross country. I think it's less famous from outsiders, from people that are not from Scandinavia or Finland, but we locals here will enjoy our cross country as well, and you can certainly enjoy that in Levy. I think actually a good balance for a ski resort would be to spend a few times doing alpine skiing, a few days doing activities, and maybe one day you can do something else like cross country, so you have like a different experience overall from the winter and from the resort. So let's look for a few details about Levy. It has a whopping 43 slopes with 27 lifts and also 7 slope restaurants. So slope restaurants are really cool when you're skiing in a very cold weather. After a few hours you might feel a little cold and you want to warm up and have a little warm drink or even a lunch. So Levy excels also not only in the slopes but in the slope restaurants. And if we go and look at the map of Levy Ski Resort, you will see that it has slopes situated on different sides of the resort. So basically it's like a little winter wonderland, amusement park in the middle of nature, and you have slopes going in every direction that you can basically spend half day on one side of the mountain and then you can spend another half of day on another side, or you can just decide like we want to go experience this slope and that slope. So there is, if you're new to the resort, there is a tremendous element of discovery of different slopes and different places, and it might take even a few days to discover all of the slopes that you have in the ski resort. They also have a very cool village, much like in Ruka, where you have all of the services in the area that you need, and it's a really good idea to stay in the center of the resort if you want to have a close access to all of them. There is the main slope of the resort, which sadly enough is not my favorite. I do enjoy much more all of the different slopes on the other sides of the mountain that they have there. But in particular, Utsuvara slopes are some of my favorites. So they are a little bit hidden from the other parts, and you have less people there. They also have southern slope, which is more for families with kids, so that can get pretty busy at some points of the season, not always of course, and this is where you have more of the families with kids that are enjoying the thrill of alpine skiing. And on our video podcasts we have the image of the Utsuvara slopes, which are my favorite. Also for the reason being that you can explore the off-piste areas if you know what you're doing. If you're a beginner, then don't go off-piste, don't go into the forest. But if you know how to handle alpine skis, this will be a great area to explore, because you can go anywhere you like basically, and then return to the lifts. And personally, me and my wife Julia, we've enjoyed countless times as paying customers at Levy Ski Resort. So we've stayed at different kind of hotels, cottages, apart hotels, and spent several weeks with our families and just the two of us on the ski resort. So we have very, very warm memories from the ski resorts with my wife Julia, and actually that's the place where I proposed my wife at Levy Ski Resort, and this is also the place where we went to celebrate our wedding. So instead of making a wedding ceremony, what we've decided to do is we've just booked a cottage in Levy, and we've invited there our family to spend not just the ceremony but a few days with us, enjoying each other's company. And then we had a couple of our close friends joining us. So it was a week-long wedding in Levy, just in a more relaxed atmosphere, instead of putting all your money and effort into this one magical thing. We decided not to do that, so we went to Levy for a week, and we just enjoyed ourselves, and without any financial constraint, because the money that you spend on ceremonies, it's crazy. So from our perspective, we spend it much better in this, in a week long holiday in Levy. However, when Levy comes to my mind, for me, principally this area is a ski resort. So if I go to Levy, the alpine skiing is the main thing there for me, unless the other activities which are in the area, which are of course available. But in my head, if I go to Levy, it's like it's the alpine skiing place in my head, and a very good one. So enjoyed many days of alpine skiing there. But it's a little bit less, a place for exploration for me. I've had my share of big northern lights though, just on top of the Levy Ski Resort. So it's amazing that you can enjoy your sunny day out on the slopes. In winter, get dark pretty quick, so you might have your second part of the day skiing already in the darkness, or let's say in the artificial light. So most of the slopes are illuminated there, so you can ski even in the winter darkness. And in winter nights, you can enjoy the beautiful northern lights. So that is a pretty cool thing. And of course, the views in Levy are totally amazing. The views to a nearby Kätkävaara mountain are totally great. You can see different kind of fells. You can see, animals. Quite rarely, but you can see animals there on the slopes. And just being there in the middle of this winter fairy tale, it's just a great feeling. And yeah. Speaking about the slope restaurants, one of the coolest slope restaurants is called Tuikku, which is the highest one, and it's also the only one which is privately owned. The rest of them are belonging to the ski resort, but there is one which is family owned, which is quite nice, and we like to support Tuikku and their owners because they are very, very cool people, and it's quite popular in the middle of the winter to go and to warm up and have lunch there. But of course, there are other places on the ski resort that you can enjoy as well. So that is Levy Ski Resort in a nutshell. So Levy is known to be like a party place, more than any other kind of thing. So it's like Finnish Las Vegas. So there's lots of nightclubs, even more so than in Ruka. It's a place where people from all around Finland go and have all kinds of fun. So it's energetic ski resort with many beautiful slopes, but also a party place. However, if it doesn't mean if you want to enjoy your privacy, you cannot do that. You certainly can if you just choose to stay outside of the main area. I mean, it can get a little crowded there and a little, noisy at times when, celebrating people are in the village center. So if you want to have these services around, then do stay in this center. But if you want to enjoy privacy, there is like I think it's like 20,000 or 30,000 cottages in the area that you can enjoy. So take your pick, go a little bit outside of the center area and go into these numerous cottages, and you'll have your privacy and you'll enjoy nature and you will enjoy tranquility. So that's kind of my main advice for you guys. Next, we're going to go into Rovaniemi Resort, and it's this place has a special part in my heart for many reasons. So let's go through some numbers regarding the Rovaniemi ski resorts. It is the biggest ski resort in Lapland and whole Finland, with 63 slopes and 28 lifts, and also 330 kilometers of cross-country skiing tracks. So Rovaniemi is big in every kind of extent. It's the highest hill that is used for house mountain that is used for a ski resort, and it's also vast enough to accommodate many slopes. And I think the longest slopes is like 2 or 3 kilometers. I mean, it's long. you can ski there for like 15 minutes if you like to. And Ullas has amazing views from this main resort. It's very high, and the views are totally amazing in any direction that you go there. One thing that I don't like about Rukaski Resort is that it's totally barren on the top. So if you're skiing in Levy and in Ruka, you're like in a winter paradise fairy tale with the trees, snowy trees all around you. So Ullas is paying its price for being so high. I mean, it's higher than the rest, but it also means that half of the mountain it's barren, so there are no trees over there. However, if you go a little bit lower into the woods, so then you will find these magical snowy trees. But at the top of the mountain, it's kind of a barren land, and it can be a little bit windy. So that's kind of my issue with not having trees. So trees give you support from this kind of wind. And of course, it depends on the weather. If it's really cold, it's not very comfortable to ski anywhere. I think the coldest weather that we've skied was in Levy Ski Resort, and it was -32. So, so that's how cold as it can be. Let's take a look at the Rukaski Resort from the air. So actually, Rukaski Resort are two ski resorts with one. They have a different owner, but they have one ticket. So by buying the ticket in any area, you are granted permission to ski on the both sides of the resort. So the southern part of the resort is called Ullas Sport Resort, and the resort which is on the northern side, I think it's called Ullas 1 or something like that. I actually don't know how it's called, but it's owned by the Lapland Hotels chain. So that's two owners, but one ski resort, and you can get from one side to another by using several pistes and lifts that you have there. So basically, you can even do it like that you can ski on one part of the resort on one day and enjoy its slopes, and then you can go on the second day, you can go to another area to explore. So 63 slopes is a lot of slopes to explore. So that, of course, is to the Ullas advantage. However, if I tell a personal note, for me, Ullas is neither like when I talk about Levy, for me it's this place for alpine skiing. That's what comes to my mind, like the first thing. But when talking about Ullas, it is not the ski resort that comes into my mind, but it's all of the other different activities that you have surrounding the slopes that come to my mind. And Ullas is such a beautiful place to be in any case. It doesn't matter if you like alpine skiing or not. And on a personal remark, my wife Julia, again on the image here, she was working at the local restaurant called the Aurora. Stayed there for half a year or 1 year. So we were basically living half time in Rovaniemi and half time in Ullas. So I got to know the area pretty well. And when you're starting to be more like a local, you start to enjoy different kinds of activities, not only, the guided tours or anything like that. You start to be more active, and that's certainly what I did when I've lived in Ullas. So it's a great place to explore on foot, and on forest skis and on the mountain bikes. And one of the cool things in Ylläs for me is also these vast cross-country skiing tracks, which, contrary to the ski resort, you have to pay to enjoy the lifts. When you're going cross-country skiing, you don't have to pay for using the tracks, and there are many tracks to enjoy. So for me, Ylläs is more like a place to be and enjoy various kinds of activities, not only the ski resort, and the presence of the Pallas Ylläs National Park, which is all around Ylläs, makes it so much better and more enjoyable than, for example, other places. And Ylläs has 2 villages of Akaslompolo and Ylläsjärvi, and you can stay in one of the 2, and you have a very big choice of hotels or cottages or apart hotels. Lately I've been enjoying a lot the hospitality of the Seven Fells Hostel, which is right in the center of Akaslompolo and offers a very good prices, so go check them out. But as we're speaking about the ski resort today, it's certainly enjoyable place in Ylläs. The southern side especially it's very accessible, not only for skiers but also for pedestrians. There is a gondola lift that can take you on the top of the fell to enjoy the views, and also a wonderful cafe that they have there on the top called Kammi. I think it's called that way. So if you're visiting Ylläs in winter, go visit that, skis or not. You can do that by using the gondola lift on the southern side of the fell. And of course, the views and the nature that you experience while going on the ski resorts is just amazing, especially in the dark winter time. The light is very special. It can be pink, it can be purple, and it can have all different colors to enjoy. And there is lots and lots of slopes and areas to explore in Ylläs. So if you're as a family, you can certainly enjoy the services of the ski resort if you're staying on easier slopes and a little bit below the higher slopes, so you can start gaining some experience in alpine skiing. But if you want to explore, Ylläs also offers lots of opportunities, because you can go a little bit off piste and you can enjoy some views, take some nice photos, and etc. So this is basically Ylläs in a nutshell. So who do I recommend Ylläs for? For those people who are looking for not only the ski resort but also a kind of various activities. And the best thing about that, you don't need to use the ski resort at all if you don't like alpine skiing. You can enjoy different activities, and especially you can do your own activities by walking into a national park and renting some equipment, such as mountain bikes and winter mountain bikes as well, or renting snowshoes, or doing some simple guided tours which are not very expensive. You can do that, and maybe you want to go and experience alpine skiing for 1 or 2 days. That also might be it. So as I said, Ylläs has a special place in my heart because I've spent so much time there. So basically, I guess what I'm saying is that I'm compromised by Ylläs, by its beauty. So I would always recommend that place to visit. Not only there is ski resort, but the whole area. I think Ylläs fits basically anyone. It's hard to say that it's who is it for, especially it can fit anyone that enjoys winter activities and nature. So just go visit Ylös if you haven't already. Especially if you visited Levy, go visit Ylös, even though it's very close and you can see a small Levy Ski Resort from Ylös. It will be totally different experience, and vice versa. If visited Ylös, you can enjoy Levy to have this kind of different kind of vibe, more energetic vibe, so to speak. So lastly, we're going to visit Sariselkasky Resort, which is actually the most northern ski resort, as we've already discussed. Sariselka is basically two parts of the two mountains with a ravine in the middle, and this is where you start your activity. We will take a look at the Sariselkasky Resort from the air view. So in Sariselka you have fell Kaunispää and you have fell Iisakinpää, which have slopes, and the ravine in the middle is the place where you have the ski rental and a restaurant as well. So basically you can ski on one fell top and down, and on the other fell top and down as well. And the ski resort itself is situated a few hundred meters away from the main village. So if you're having your own skis, it's a little bit of a challenge because you either have to carry them or go by car or go by ski bus. So it's a little bit less practical in that sense, but it's still doable. Sariselka has a great little village where you have all of the main hotels. I think I've stayed in each one of them. If talking about my favorite, it will be definitely the Santas Hotel Tuntori and its newer part, which is called Gielas. I've enjoyed this hotel as well, but don't have anything bad to say about the other hotels as well. Go and experience those. I think the Lapland Hotels has built a new apartment building, which I haven't visited yet, but it should be all good and new. And in addition to those, you have many cottages in the area that you can choose from. Interesting fact about Sariselka, that you can visit the top of the ski resort by car if you have a rental car, so you don't need to use the lift. You can just drive from the center of the village by the road to the main to the top of the main fell, and there is a little restaurant there, and then the views there are nice. This is the place to visit in any kind of season, just to enjoy the views. So Sariselka, I guess it's actually more famous, not even for the alpine skiing, although there is it's totally doable there. It's it's as good as is anywhere else, but Sariselka is known in particular for its cross-country skiing tracks, at least among the Finnish people. Of course, if you're a foreigner, you can enjoy the whole spectre of winter activities there as well, and you will certainly enjoy staying at this most northern ski resort in Lapland and the whole European Union. I particularly enjoy the small Sariselka village in the center, and I go there actually no matter the season, not only for alpine skiing, but also for exploring the beautiful nature around. I forgot to explain a few facts about the slopes. So there are 15 slopes in Sariselka with 6 lifts. So it's not a very huge resort, as you can see, but definitely an interesting one to visit. So there is a special kind of vibe when you end up in Sariselka. And I can also recommend going to, if you're staying in Sariselka, you're in striking distance to visit the more northern villages that you have there, such as Ivala village and the center of the Sami culture in Lapland, which is the village of Inari. for example. So you get a totally different vibe in Sariselka than, for example, at Levy as well. So that is the overview of the ski resorts in Lapland. If I would have to pick my favorites, basically I have a top 3 of the ski resorts, and they will be of course Rukaski Resort. I enjoy that a lot for this kind of really cozy and forward-thinking attitude that locals have, and for the really nice restaurants, and for really kind of warm vibe that you have there. And Ruka is totally amazing to visit in winter. I mean, I love Ruka so much that I have stayed there this winter, but also on one spring morning I woke up at 4 a.m. and I drove there to Ruka from here to Rovaniemi in like 2.5 hours, and I went there on foot on the slopes to take some pictures of the early sun before even the lift started to function, to take some pictures. So that's how much I love to visit Ruka, and I really like their events that they organize, especially the Polar Night Light Festival. So if you want this kind of really vibrant and cool place to visit, then go to Ruka. My second favorite, of course, would be Levy. Levy is in many places like Ruka and unlike Ruka. They are a little bit they are fighting for the same kind of customers because they are two kind of modern resorts, but you cannot really you cannot really decide which one is better. I've enjoyed lots and lots of time skiing at Levy. I have one of my best memories in my life in Levy, marrying my wife and enjoying lots of winter holidays in Levy. So Levy, it has a special place in my heart as well. So go in Levy if you want to have like all-in-one package, really close to everything. So Levy can offer you that. So not only the ski resort, but also the activities and this kind of nightlife and bars and stuff like that. Well, of course, you don't have to be in the central village and in the middle of all of the crowds and stuff like that, but you can also enjoy a very relaxed holiday just in your cottage. Or you can do the both. You can stay at the cottage and then just go out for 1 or 2 nights. So that is kind of a perfect combination. And then of course Ylläs, that I like a lot, which is in my top 3, and that is mainly not only for the ski resort, which is of course amazing and the biggest in Lapland, but basically for all this kind of freedom of activities and freedom of thought that you can experience in Ylläs, enjoying this amazing nature which makes your head clear, and the national park that is so beautiful out there to enjoy. So that concludes our podcast, our audio podcast that we're having here. Thanks a lot for listening, and stay cool.